Ladies and gentlemen, every person dreams of success, yet not everyone attracts the opportunities that lead to it. Some wait for luck to appear, others complain that life is unfair, and many point fingers when things don't go their way. But the truth is simple: if it's always someone else's fault, you're not growing. Growth begins the moment you accept responsibility for your choices, your habits, your future. HSETR1 The mirror never lies, and yet it is the one thing most people avoid looking into with honesty. When you stand before it, you are confronted not just with your reflection, but with the undeniable truth of your own choices, actions, and inactions. It is here that growth begins, not by blaming the world, your circumstances, or other people, but by accepting that the life you live is the direct result of decisions you have made, whether intentionally or unconsciously. Responsibility is the starting line of every transformation, because without it, you are powerless. The moment you say, "It's someone else's fault," you surrender control. The moment you say, "This is on me," you reclaim the steering wheel of your destiny. Too many people prefer to remain victims of life, telling stories about how unfair everything is, pointing fingers at their parents, their bosses, their government, or even fate. And while those stories might bring sympathy, they also steal power, because every excuse is a chain that keeps you bound to the same place. Truth is uncomfortable, yet liberating. You are where you are today because of the standards you have set, the habits you have built, and the decisions you have made. And if you want a different tomorrow, you must begin by holding yourself accountable for today. Think about it. No opportunity, no breakthrough, no meaningful growth ever comes to those who spend their energy blaming, because blame is a dead end, a wall that separates you from progress. Responsibility, on the other hand, is a door, and once you choose to walk through it, the world begins to respond differently to you. Imagine two people facing the same setback. One says, "It's unfair, life is against me," and sinks into bitterness, while the other says, "This is painful, but what can I learn? What can I do? How can I rise?" The difference is not in circumstance but in perspective, and that shift of responsibility creates a completely different future. Take responsibility is not to take blame for everything beyond your control, but rather to recognize what you can control: your response, your effort, decisions, and by mastering these, you shape your outcomes in ways that blaming others never could. The mirror never lies, but it also does not condemn. It reflects honestly and waits for you to decide whether you will turn away in denial or stare long enough to commit to change. And once you choose change, responsibility ceases to feel like a burden and starts to feel like freedom. It means your life is not in the hands of chance or other people. It is in yours. Every great leader, every innovator, every person who has built a life of meaning has begun with this principle: I am responsible for my growth. And it is this mindset that transforms ordinary individuals into extraordinary ones. Responsibility is the soil in which opportunity grows. When you begin to own your mistakes instead of hiding from them, you turn them into lessons. Your full attention when you own your weaknesses, you give yourself permission to strengthen them. When you own your dreams, you give yourself the courage to pursue them. When you own your failures, you make space for eventual success. Responsibility is not about guilt. It is about empowerment. Guilt keeps you stuck in the past, but responsibility fuels you to act differently in the future. The reason most people remain stagnant is that they keep looking for someone else to fix their lives, waiting for perfect conditions, waiting for help, waiting for a sign. but life rewards those who stand in front of the mirror and say, "If I want change, I must create it." It is not easy to face yourself with such honesty. It requires humility to admit where you have fallen short, courage to acknowledge where you have avoided effort, and determination to rise again, even after repeated failures. But that is the price of growth, and the reward is immeasurable, because once you own your life, nothing and no one can truly stop you. When you see the mirror as a teacher instead of an enemy, you discover that the reflection looking back is not fixed. It can be reshaped, redefined, and every day you choose responsibility, you sharpen the image of the person you are becoming. If you want to attract opportunity, you must first become the kind of person opportunity is drawn to. And that journey starts with responsibility. Opportunity does not trust the one who blames, excuses, or complains, but it finds its way naturally to the one who accepts reality, takes action, and grows stronger through self-awareness. So the next time you are tempted to point a finger outward, pause, walk to the mirror, and remind yourself that the only person who can change your life is staring back at you. Let that truth sink in. Let it empower you. Let it become the foundation of every habit, every choice, and every opportunity you will create from this moment forward. Chapter 2. Breaking the blame cycle is one of the hardest yet most liberating steps a person can take, because blame feels comfortable at first. Like a blanket, you can pull over yourself whenever the cold winds of failure blow too hard, but in reality, it suffocates your potential and keeps you small, preventing you from seeing the truth that could set you free. When you live inside the cycle of blame, you are always searching for someone or something to carry the weight of your disappointments. Your parents who did not give you enough, your boss who does not recognize your talent, your friends who do not support you, the economy that seems stacked against you, or even fate itself. But while these explanations might give you temporary relief, they do not change your situation. Blame is never an engine of progress. It is a cage that locks you into stagnation. The cycle of blame has a deceptive rhythm. Something goes wrong. Shift responsibility outward. You feel justified. You tell yourself it is not your fault. You comfort yourself with excuses. And then you wait for life to fix itself, only to find that nothing changes, which forces you to repeat the cycle all over again. The tragedy is that years can pass this way. A person can waste their prime energy pointing fingers, while others who face the same difficulties rise and create new futures, not because life was easier for them, but because they refused to stay stuck in the blame loop. To break free, you must first recognize that blame is a habit, not a solution, and like any habit, it grows stronger the more you practice it. Every time you say, "It's not my fault," you reinforce the belief that you are powerless, and the more powerless you believe you are, the less effort you put into changing, which guarantees the very outcome you feared. The cycle becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. You expect little, you do little, you receive little, and then you use the lack of results as proof that it was never in your hands, when in truth it was always in your hands, but you never gave yourself the chance to act. Breaking this cycle begins with brutal honesty, the courage to admit that even if circumstances were unfair, even if people disappointed you, even if life threw you challenges you did not deserve, the only way forward is to ask yourself what you can do differently, because dwelling on what cannot be changed only robs you of energy that could be spent building a new path. Responsibility is the antidote to blame, but to reach it, you must dismantle the stories you have been telling yourself for years. stories that paint you as the helpless character in someone else's narrative. You must rewrite the script where you are not the victim, but the author, not the passenger, but the driver, and that rewriting begins the moment you stop rehearsing excuses and start practicing ownership. Imagine how many doors remain closed because people are too busy complaining about who locked them, instead of searching for the keys within themselves. Imagine how many dreams remain unfulfilled because the dreamer was waiting for others to believe in them, instead of building the belief within. Imagine how much potential lies wasted simply because blame was easier than change. Breaking the blame cycle is not about ignoring injustice or pretending life is always fair, but about refusing to give your power away to those injustices, choosing instead to rise above them with resilience and action. When you stop pointing fingers, your hands become free to build, to work, to create. It is in this freedom that growth and opportunity begin. The world does not reward those who complain the loudest, rewards those who take responsibility and act, and every successful person you admire has, at some point, chosen to break their own cycle of blame. Some grew up in poverty, others faced discrimination, others endured personal failures or betrayals. What they all share in common is that they decided to stop telling the story of what went wrong and started writing the story of what they would do next. The moment you recognize blame as poison, you stop drinking it, and you realize that the discomfort of responsibility is far healthier than the comfort of excuses, because responsibility builds strength, while blame only breeds weakness. You cannot control everything in life, but you can always control how you respond. And this truth is the hammer that shatters the blame cycle once and for all. With every choice to take ownership, you weaken the grip of excuses. You find that progress, however small, begins to replace bitterness. Breaking the cycle requires vigilance, because the temptation to fall back into blame will always be there. When setbacks happen, when life feels heavy, when the old habit whispers that it is easier to say, "Not my fault." But the difference is that now you are aware, and awareness is power. Once you see the pattern, you can interrupt it, redirect it, and replace it with a new pattern of accountability. Over time, this new habit reshapes your identity. You begin to see yourself as capable instead of helpless, as proactive instead of reactive, as a leader instead of a victim, and it is from this identity that opportunities begin to flow toward you, because opportunity is attracted to strength, not to blame. The cycle of blame may feel endless while you are trapped in it, but the truth is that it can be broken the very moment you decide to break it. The moment you look at a challenge and say, "This is my life, and I will own it." And once that decision is made, the cycle is shattered, the chains fall, path to growth opens before you. Shia Chapter 3. The power of self-awareness is one of the most overlooked yet transformative forces in human growth, because without the ability to see yourself clearly, you will forever be trapped in illusions that prevent you from improving. Blaming others when life does not turn out the way you hoped, and repeating the same patterns without ever realizing you are the one creating them. Self-awareness is the light that exposes both your strengths and your weaknesses, your habits and your blind spots, your dreams and your fears. And when you learn to stand in that light without running from it, you open the door to genuine transformation. Many people go through life convinced that they understand themselves, but in reality, they only know the version of themselves they have chosen to accept. They highlight the good qualities, ignore the weaknesses, justify their bad habits, and protect their egos from discomfort. This selective view does not produce growth, it produces stagnation, because you cannot change what you refuse to acknowledge. To be truly self-aware means you are willing to look in the mirror of your actions, your words, and your decisions, and ask hard questions. Why do I react the way I do? What patterns keep repeating in my life? Where am I truly responsible for my setbacks? What beliefs are driving my choices? These questions may feel uncomfortable, but they are the beginning of freedom, because until you know yourself, you cannot direct yourself. Till you direct yourself, opportunities will pass you by. Think about it. If you are unaware of how you come across to others, you will struggle to build trust. If you are unaware of the habits that drain your energy, you will keep repeating them. If you are unaware of your deepest fears, they will silently control your decisions, leading you down paths you never intended. Self-awareness is not about judgment, it is about clarity, and clarity is power, because the clearer you see yourself, the wiser your choices become. Imagine walking into a dark room filled with furniture. You would stumble, crash, and hurt yourself, not because you were weak, but because you could not see. Now imagine turning on the light. The obstacles are still there, but now you can move around them with confidence, and that is exactly what self-awareness does in your life. It does not erase the challenges, but it gives you the clarity to navigate them. Without self-awareness, people are quick to blame the world for their pain. But with it, they begin to see how their own decisions, mindsets, and behaviors shape their reality, and this realization, while humbling, is also empowering, because it means you have the ability to choose differently. 2. Self-awareness also breeds humility, because the more you know yourself, the less you need to pretend, the less you waste energy on proving you are right, the more you focus on actually becoming better. Humility, in turn, draws respect and trust from others. This creates opportunities that arrogance would have repelled. The most successful people in every field, from business to art to leadership, all practice deep self-awareness. They know their strengths and use them boldly. But they also know their weaknesses and surround themselves with people who complement them, rather than denying or hiding their flaws. Cultivate self-awareness requires deliberate practice, journaling your thoughts and emotions to see patterns that might be invisible in the moment, asking trusted mentors or friends for honest feedback even when it stings, meditating or reflecting quietly so you can hear the deeper truths beneath the noise of daily life, and observing your reactions in difficult moments, because it is in struggle that the real self often shows its face. Each act of awareness chips away at the illusions that keep you small, until you are left with a clearer, truer picture of who you are and who you can become, and it is this picture that allows you to grow with intention rather than by accident. Without self-awareness, growth is random. You may get lucky, you may improve in certain areas without knowing why, but with self-awareness, growth becomes strategic, deliberate, and consistent, because you are making conscious choices instead of drifting. Think about relationships. How many conflicts continue simply because one or both people lack the self-awareness to see their own role in the problem? How many careers stall because someone cannot see that their attitude, not their talent, is what holds them back? How many dreams die because a person never paused to understand what truly matters to them, chasing goals that were never their own in the first place? All of this can be avoided with self-awareness, because when you know yourself, you see reality more clearly, and when you see reality clearly, act effectively. Self-awareness also connects you to authenticity, and authenticity is magnetic. People are drawn to those who are real, understand themselves, who are not hiding behind masks, and this attraction is the foundation of countless opportunities. At the deepest level, self-awareness is about honesty, and honesty with yourself is the rarest form of courage, because it is easy to fool the world, but hard to face your own reflection. Yet, the more you practice it, the freer you become, because nothing anyone says about you can shake you when you already know your truth. That is the power of self-awareness. It makes you unshakable, adaptable, because you are no longer lost in illusions but grounded in reality, and reality is where true opportunity lies. If you want to grow, if you want to attract chances that can change your life, you must begin by turning inward, shining the light on yourself, daring to see what is really there, for only then can you choose who you will become next. Chapter 4. Discipline turns chaos into opportunity, and without it, even the greatest talent or ambition will wither under the weight of inconsistency. Discipline is the silent force that transforms dreams into results, taking raw intention and shaping it into daily action. Many people admire discipline from afar. Few are willing to embrace its demands, not realizing that discipline is not punishment but freedom, the freedom to rise above distraction, to master your impulses, attention, and to create the future you desire rather than waiting for life to hand it to you. Every great achievement in history has been carried on the back of discipline. Athletes who train before sunrise while the world sleeps, writers who push through blank pages until words begin to flow, entrepreneurs who sacrifice comfort to build something lasting, leaders who commit daily to growth even when no one is watching. Common thread is not luck or talent, but an unwavering commitment to do what must be done, especially when it is not easy, convenient, or fun. Is the natural state of life. Unpredictable events, shifting emotions, endless distractions, and constant temptations pull us in 1,000 directions, and without discipline, you are tossed about by every wave, never steering toward your destination. But with discipline, you become the captain of your own ship, choosing the direction and adjusting the sails even when storms arrive. The reason discipline attracts opportunity is because it signals reliability. When you are disciplined, people know they can trust you to follow through, deliver, to show up, and trust is the currency that opens doors in every area of life. Think about it: who gets promoted? The one who is occasionally brilliant but unreliable, or the one who shows up consistently and delivers with discipline? Who builds lasting relationships? The one who makes promises they never keep, or the one who disciplines themselves to honor commitments? Who attracts investors, mentors, or partners? The one with lofty ideas and no follow-through, or the one with disciplined execution that turns visions into tangible results? Opportunity gravitates toward discipline because opportunity hates waste, and without discipline, every opportunity becomes wasted potential. Yet discipline is often misunderstood as rigid, joyless, or restrictive, when in truth, discipline is the structure that allows freedom. A musician cannot play beautifully without disciplining themselves through hours of practice. A writer cannot express freely without first disciplining their craft. A leader cannot inspire others without disciplining their own habits and emotions. In the same way, you cannot live fully unless you discipline yourself to align with your goals. Discipline is not about doing everything perfectly. It is about doing the right things consistently, choosing long-term gain over short-term comfort, and building habits that support who you want to become rather than who you used to be. The undisciplined person lives at the mercy of moods, impulses, and circumstances, constantly starting over, constantly frustrated, constantly asking why others are advancing while they remain stuck. But the disciplined person, though they may not be the most talented or the luckiest, steadily moves forward, step by step. Their consistency compounds into success. Discipline is also contagious. When people see your commitment, they respect it, they are inspired by it, and they are drawn to align with you, which creates new networks and opportunities that would never have appeared without your example. The truth is, discipline is hard at first, because it requires sacrifice and delayed gratification, but it becomes easier as it turns into habit, and eventually becomes part of your identity. You no longer say, "I will try." You say, "I do this." And when discipline becomes identity, consistency becomes effortless. The greatest danger is not that discipline is too hard, but that without it, life becomes harder in ways you cannot escape. Lack of discipline leads to financial chaos, broken health, shallow relationships, and wasted time, all of which are far more painful than the effort it takes to practice discipline daily. You cannot control every opportunity life presents, but you can control how prepared you are when it arrives, and discipline is that preparation, the daily sharpening of your skills, the steady building of your character, the invisible work that ensures when doors open, you are ready to walk through them. Remember that the world does not give opportunities to those who merely wish. It gives them to those who have proven, through disciplined action, that they are capable of handling them. Discipline is the bridge between goals and achievement, between chaos and clarity, between wishing and winning, and every time you choose discipline over distraction, you are laying bricks on that bridge. If you want to attract opportunity, start by mastering your mornings, your habits, your focus, and your commitments, because opportunity cannot trust the undisciplined, but it will always find its way to those who have built the strength to say, "I will do what must be done." What? ACTR5 Consistency builds trust and momentum, and without it, the strongest talent or the most inspiring ambition collapses under the weight of inconsistency, because greatness is never about what you do once in a while, but about what you do over and over again until it becomes part of who you are, and the world learns to rely on you not because you have flashes of brilliance, but because you are steady, dependable, and predictable in the best possible way. Consistency is the difference between people who talk about their dreams and those who achieve them, because talk is cheap but repeated action compounds, creating results that cannot be ignored. One workout will not transform your body, one book will not expand your mind, one kind gesture will not build a lasting relationship, but the repetition of these small actions, done consistently over time, reshapes everything. People often fail not because they lack ability, but because they start strong and fade away, driven by excitement rather than commitment, expecting quick results, and giving up when those results do not come. Getting that consistency is not about speed, but endurance, not about instant gratification, but about building something that lasts. Consistency is also the foundation of trust. People do not trust words, they trust patterns. And when you show up again and again with reliability, others begin to believe in you. And that belief creates opportunities that sporadic effort never could. Imagine a business owner who delivers excellence only sometimes, a leader who inspires only when they feel like it, or a partner who is supportive only when it's convenient. No one builds loyalty around inconsistency. But when someone shows up with steady dedication, they earn respect, influence, and opportunity. Momentum, too, is born out of consistency, because momentum is simply progress multiplied by time, and every small step you take daily becomes fuel for bigger steps tomorrow. Like a snowball rolling down a hill, consistency makes your efforts grow larger and more powerful, while inconsistency forces you to start over again and again, wasting time, energy, potential. Consistency may feel slow, but its power lies in accumulation. The compounding effect of daily discipline always outweighs the short bursts of effort that come and go. A student who studies 1 hour every day will surpass the one who crams all night once a month. An artist who paints every day will outgrow the one who paints only when inspired. An entrepreneur who builds consistently will outlast the one who only hustles when motivated. The beauty of consistency is that it is not glamorous, yet it is unstoppable, because it slowly rewires your identity. You no longer say, "I want to be disciplined," or "I hope to achieve this." You simply live in a pattern of reliability that aligns with your vision. Over time, those patterns define who you are. Consistency is also magnetic, because people are drawn to reliability in a world full of chaos. Mentors, employers, partners, and even friends value those who show up consistently, because it signals character and strength. Signal attracts opportunity like a beacon. Of course, consistency requires sacrifice, because it means doing what needs to be done even when you do not feel like it, when motivation is absent, and when no one is watching. But it is this very sacrifice that builds credibility, both with yourself and with others. When you prove to yourself that you can keep promises to yourself, your confidence grows, and when you prove to others that they can count on you, their trust deepens. Inconsistency, by contrast, destroys both confidence and trust, leaving you frustrated with yourself and leaving others reluctant to rely on you, which shuts doors before they even open. The truth is that success rarely belongs to the fastest or the strongest. It belongs to the most consistent. The one who refuses to quit, shows up day after day, who builds quietly until the results speak so loudly that no one can ignore them. Consistency is not about perfection. No one can be perfect every day, but it is about persistence, about choosing progress over excuses, about returning to the path even after you stumble, and this persistence is what eventually transforms average people into extraordinary ones. If you want opportunity to notice you, show it that you are steady, that you are not a flicker, but a flame, that you can be relied upon to continue when others quit, and soon doors will open, because the world respects consistency more than talent, more than potential, more than ambition. Consistency is proof that you are serious, that you mean what you say, and that you will not vanish when challenges appear, and this proof is exactly what makes opportunities seek you out, because opportunity favors those who have demonstrated they can handle it. In the end, consistency is not glamorous, it is not dramatic, and it is not quick, but it is powerful, it is transformative, and it is the one habit that, more than any other, guarantees that the opportunities you attract will not only come but will stay, because they have found someone worthy of trust. CHTR 6. A growth mindset attracts possibility, because it is the lens through which you see challenges, not as obstacles, but as opportunities to evolve. Them your full attention, and the way you think about your potential determines the opportunities that come your way, since life rarely gives more to those who believe they are limited, but always gives more to those who believe they can expand, adapt, and rise. A growth mindset is the conviction that skills can be learned, that intelligence can be developed, that failure is not permanent but a teacher, That success is not a gift given to a chosen few, but the result of consistent effort. And this way of thinking changes everything, because the world responds to belief as much as it does to action. Too many people live with a fixed mindset, believing their abilities are set in stone, that they were either born talented or not, smart or not, capable or not. And because of this belief, they resist challenges, they avoid risks. They retreat when they fail, and they limit themselves to what feels safe and certain. But safety rarely leads to opportunity, certainty rarely produces growth. A growth mindset, however, pushes you beyond comfort, urging you to try, to learn, to fail, and to try again. And each attempt expands your capacity, which makes you a magnet for new chances that others miss, because they were too afraid to stretch. When you carry a growth mindset, people notice. Mentors see potential worth investing in. Employers see someone who can adapt and lead. Partners see resilience and creativity. And even setbacks begin to work in your favor. You no longer see them as proof you cannot succeed, but as stepping stones toward becoming better. The beauty of a growth mindset is that it changes your relationship with failure. Instead of asking, "Why me?" when things go wrong, you ask, "What can I learn?" And that single shift makes you unstoppable, because while others quit at the first sign of difficulty, you persist, adapt, keep moving forward, and over time, persistence always wins. A growth mindset also fuels curiosity, because when you believe you can learn anything, you are willing to explore new skills, ideas, and perspectives, and this curiosity widens your horizons, exposing you to opportunities that those with closed minds never even notice. Think of the difference between two people given the same challenge. One says, "I can't do this, I'm not good at it," and walks away, while the other says, "I don't know how yet, but I can learn," and starts practicing. The second person may struggle at first, but with each step they grow stronger, and eventually, they master the skill and gain the rewards, while the first person remains stuck where they began, convinced they were powerless. This is why opportunity follows growth-minded people. They keep putting themselves in the path of progress. They keep showing up to learn, they keep stretching, and so they keep discovering new doors that others will never find. A growth mindset also reshapes how you handle criticism. Instead of feeling attacked, you see feedback as fuel, an insight into how you can improve, and this openness makes you more coachable, more adaptable, and more valuable in every environment. People love to support those who are willing to grow, while they hesitate to invest in those who resist change. The irony is that many people admire opportunity, but reject the very mindset that would attract it, preferring comfort over challenge, ego over humility, excuses over effort. But those who embrace growth become resilient, adaptable, and fearless. These are the very qualities that life rewards most. Developing a growth mindset requires awareness, because your old patterns of fixed thinking will try to hold you back, whispering that you are not good enough, that you are too old, too inexperienced, too far behind. But the truth is that growth is available to you at every stage of life, if you are willing to think differently. Place, "I can't," with, "I can learn," to replace, "I failed," with, "I'm learning," to replace, "I'm stuck," with, "I'm growing." Over time, these new beliefs harden into identity, and you stop seeing yourself as someone who is limited, and start seeing yourself as someone who is evolving, and the opportunities that once felt impossible begin to feel natural, because your belief has expanded to fit them. Opportunity is not attracted to perfection, it is attracted to progress, And when you live with a growth mindset, you radiate progress. You show the world that you are moving forward, that you are not trapped in yesterday, but reaching for tomorrow, and this energy draws people, ideas, and chances into your orbit. The truth is that the only real limitation you have is the one you place on your mind. And when you choose to think with growth, you remove the ceiling, you open the door, and you give yourself permission to step into a bigger future than you once imagined possible. THTR 7 Gratitude unlocks hidden doors because it shifts your focus from what is missing to what is present, from what you lack to what you already have. In doing so, it creates a mindset of abundance that draws more opportunities toward you, while those who live in constant complaint and comparison repel possibilities without even realizing it, since no one is eager to extend chances to a person who only sees problems. Everyone is inspired to support someone who radiates appreciation and optimism. Gratitude is not about pretending that everything is perfect. It is about acknowledging that even in imperfection there are gifts, lessons, and blessings, and when you live with this awareness, you begin to see opportunities where others only see obstacles. The same setback that causes a bitter person to quit becomes fuel for the grateful person to grow, because they are thankful even for the struggle, knowing it strengthens them. People with gratitude are magnetic, because gratitude makes you pleasant to be around. It makes you uplifting instead of draining, and it makes others want to share their time, resources, and knowledge with you. In contrast, those who are ungrateful repel opportunity because their energy is heavy, their conversations are filled with complaints, and their outlook drains those who might otherwise help them. Gratitude also changes the way you see yourself, because instead of focusing only on your shortcomings, you begin to appreciate your progress, your strengths, and your growth. This positive self-regard builds confidence, which in turn attracts more chances, since people are naturally drawn to those who carry themselves with assurance. Opportunity often hides in plain sight, disguised in the small blessings of daily life, but most people miss it because they are too busy chasing what they don't have, waiting for something bigger before they allow themselves to feel thankful. The grateful person, however, recognizes value in every stage of the journey. This recognition sharpens their eyes to see possibilities that ungrateful people overlook. Gratitude fuels resilience, because when you are thankful, even in difficulty, you refuse to be crushed by disappointment. Instead, you adapt, you find lessons, and you keep moving, which makes you more attractive to opportunity, because opportunity prefers those who will not waste it on despair, but will maximize it with hope. Gratitude is also a seed that multiplies. When you express it toward others, you strengthen relationships, you build trust, create goodwill that often circles back in the form of support, referrals, collaborations, or mentorships that can change the course of your life. Think about it: who is more likely to be remembered when a new position opens up? The employee who constantly complains about what the company lacks, or the one who consistently expresses gratitude for the chance to grow and contribute? Who is more likely to be introduced to valuable contacts? The friend who never appreciates kindness, or the one who always recognizes even small gestures with genuine thanks? Gratitude makes people want to invest in you, because gratitude assures them their investment will be valued. Beyond relationships, gratitude transforms your inner state, reducing stress, sharpening focus, and giving you the energy to keep going, because it's hard to burn out when your perspective is fueled by appreciation rather than drained by negativity. Scientific studies even show that gratitude reshapes the brain, rewiring it to notice positives more often, which means that a grateful mindset literally trains you to find opportunity where others see none. Gratitude also keeps you grounded, your full attention, preventing pride from blinding you to the contributions of others and keeping you humble enough to continue learning. And humility itself is another doorway through which opportunities enter. Without gratitude, success feels hollow, because no matter what you achieve, you will always focus on what you still don't have, chasing endlessly without satisfaction. With gratitude, even small steps feel meaningful. This fulfillment energizes you to keep building, which naturally compounds into greater success. Gratitude is not passive, it is active, because it requires you to slow down, to notice, to acknowledge, and to express, and in doing so, build a habit of awareness that makes you alert to the opportunities embedded in everyday life. Opportunities do not always come in grand, dramatic ways. Sometimes they come disguised as a conversation, a small task, a chance to serve, or a moment of recognition, and it is gratitude that allows you to see them for what they are, rather than dismissing them as insignificant. The grateful person turns a small chance into a great one, because they value what others ignore, and by multiplying the value of what they have, they position themselves to receive more. Gratitude is also deeply connected to joy, and joy is contagious. People want to work with, promote, and help those who uplift them, not those who weigh them down, and so gratitude becomes a competitive advantage in life, not because it manipulates but because it radiates authenticity. If you want to attract opportunity, cultivate the daily habit of gratitude. Write down what you are thankful for, express appreciation to those who help you, notice the progress you've made, choose to see blessings even in difficulties, because every act of gratitude is a magnet pulling future chances toward you. Ultimately, gratitude unlocks hidden doors because it transforms both you and the world around you. It changes how you see, it changes how others see you, and it creates an atmosphere where opportunities flourish, proving that thankfulness is not just an attitude, but a pathway to growth and abundance. Shape TER8 Effective communication creates connection, and connection is the bridge on which opportunities travel, because no matter how skilled, talented, or ambitious you are, if you cannot express your ideas clearly, listen deeply, and build rapport with others, your potential remains locked inside you, unseen and unused, while those who master communication naturally attract attention, trust, and collaboration that open doors to growth. Communication is not only about speaking well, it is about understanding others, about listening not just to respond, but to truly hear, about paying attention to tone, body language, and intent, and about expressing your own thoughts with clarity, confidence, and respect, so that people feel valued rather than dismissed, inspired rather than ignored. The truth is that many opportunities are not won by the smartest person in the room, but by the one who communicates best, because ideas that are not understood cannot create impact, and relationships that lack trust cannot sustain opportunity. Effective communication is a two-way street. It requires you to share your message in a way that others can receive. It requires you to remain open enough to learn from others, because communication without listening is noise. But communication with listening is power. Think about every door that has ever opened in your life. It likely came through a conversation, whether a teacher who encouraged you, a friend who recommended you, a mentor who guided you, or a colleague who introduced you to the right person. All of these moments were made possible by communication. When you develop the habit of effective communication, you gain influence, because people are drawn to those who make them feel understood, respected, and inspired, and influence naturally multiplies opportunities, since others are more willing to share knowledge, resources, and access with someone they trust. Communication is also the foundation of leadership, because a leader who cannot clearly communicate vision will never inspire a team, and without inspiration, opportunities collapse. A leader who communicates with passion, empathy, and clarity can rally people around even the most difficult goals, turning small opportunities into great ones. Effective communication also prevents unnecessary conflicts that destroy opportunities before they can grow. So much potential is wasted not by lack of resources, but by misunderstandings, misinterpretations, and unspoken assumptions that poison relationships. Clarity in communication keeps doors open, while poor communication slams them shut. To be an effective communicator, you must cultivate awareness of your audience, because what works for one person may not work for another. Some need detail, others need vision. Some need encouragement, others need challenge. And when you adapt your communication to meet people where they are, you create stronger connections that position you for success. At the heart of communication lies authenticity, because people can sense when words are hollow or manipulative, but they respond deeply to honesty and sincerity. When your communication aligns with your values and intentions, people believe you, and belief is the soil in which opportunity grows. Beyond words, effective communication also involves silence, the ability to pause, to let others speak, to create space for reflection, because silence can often communicate more respect than constant speech. And those who know how to balance speaking with listening often win trust more quickly than those who only try to impress. The opportunities of life are hidden in people, and people reveal themselves through communication, which means that every conversation is a potential gateway, but you can only walk through if you know how to engage with openness, clarity, and empathy. Communication also builds your reputation, because over time, people remember not only what you said, but how you made them feel. If your words consistently uplift, clarify, and encourage, you will be remembered as someone who adds value, and value always attracts opportunity. Contrast careless communication, words spoken in anger, promises made and broken, disrespectful tones, or constant negativity. Repels people, closes doors, and makes opportunity pass you by, not because you lacked skill, but because you failed to connect. Effective communication is a skill that can be learned, practiced, and improved, and it begins with intention, the intention to listen actively, choose words wisely, to respect others' perspectives, and to ensure your message is not just spoken but received. Over time, as you practice, communication becomes not just a tool but a habit, and when you habitually communicate with clarity and empathy, you create an atmosphere where opportunities flow naturally toward you. Remember that every job, every partnership, every relationship, every chance to grow begins with a conversation, and how you handle that conversation determines whether the door opens wider or shuts forever. If you want to attract opportunities, do not simply work on your skills in isolation. Work on your ability to communicate those skills, your ability to share ideas, your ability to connect with people, because in the end, opportunity is not just about what you know or what you can do. It is about who knows you, who believes in you, and who is willing to walk alongside you. And that is always built through the power of effective communication. SESH-TR9 networking multiplies opportunities because every person you meet carries within them a web of connections, knowledge, and experiences that could one day intersect with your path. And the truth is that no one rises alone. Every great achievement is built on relationships, introductions, and collaborations that expanded what one individual could do by themselves. Networking is not about collecting business cards or adding contacts to your phone. It is about cultivating genuine connections, rooted in respect, authenticity, and mutual value, because people are not doors to be used, but bridges to be built, and when you invest in people, opportunities follow. Many underestimate the power of relationships, thinking that hard work alone will get them noticed. But while effort is essential, effort without visibility often goes unseen, and visibility comes from connections. When people know who you are, what you do, and the value you bring, they are more likely to think of you when opportunities arise. Networking is also about being generous first. Those who only take eventually exhaust the goodwill of others. But those who give, who share knowledge, who support, who encourage, create a reputation of value that makes others eager to reciprocate when the time comes. Often people approach networking as a transaction, asking immediately, "What can I get from this person?" But true networking is relational, asking instead, "How can I serve, encourage, or support this person?" And this simple shift makes you magnetic, because everyone is drawn to people who genuinely care. The opportunities hidden in networking are often unpredictable. You may meet someone casually at an event, and years later, that connection could lead to a job, a partnership, or a door you never imagined. This is why it is essential to treat every interaction as important, because you never know which relationship will change your life. Networking also sharpens your perspective, because every person you meet carries insights you may not have considered, and those insights can guide you away from mistakes or toward possibilities you would have otherwise overlooked. Networking does not require you to be extroverted. It requires you to be intentional. Intentional about showing up where growth-minded people gather, intentional about reaching out, intentional about following up, intentional about maintaining relationships instead of letting them die when they are no longer immediately useful. Opportunity follows consistency. Networking is no different. A single event may not change your life, but a habit of cultivating relationships over years builds a network so strong that doors will keep opening even when you are not knocking. Networking also builds credibility, because when trusted people speak well of you, others are more willing to give you a chance. And sometimes opportunities are less about what you know and more about who trusts you enough to recommend you. Credibility borrowed from others becomes credibility earned for yourself. But networking is not just about upward connections. It is also about peers and those you can help. Your full attention, because often the greatest opportunities come not from those above you, but from those beside you, growing with you, struggling with you, and building with you. And the stronger your circle, the more likely it is that opportunities will emerge within it. Networking also demands humility, because arrogance closes doors. When you treat people as though they have nothing to offer you, you blind yourself to the very opportunities they may hold. But when you approach everyone with curiosity and respect, you remain open to learning, and life rewards those who remain open. Truth about networking is that it requires patience. Not every relationship yields immediate results, but over time, consistency, trust, and generosity compound, and opportunities begin to flow naturally, not because you chased them, but because you invested in people who now want to invest in you. Networking also extends beyond professional growth. It enriches your personal life, exposing you to mentors, friends, collaborators, and communities that make the journey more meaningful. And when your network is strong, you feel supported, encouraged, and challenged, which in itself is an opportunity for growth. In the digital age, networking has become easier and broader, but also more shallow. Likes and follows are not relationships, and connections without conversation are weak. So it is your responsibility to deepen the bonds, go beyond the surface, to nurture trust, because real opportunity grows in depth, not in breadth alone. At its core, networking is not about strategy, but about humanity, about seeing people not as tools, but as individuals with dreams, struggles, and value. When you honor that humanity, you create bonds that stand the test of time. Every major opportunity you admire in others, whether a promotion, a business deal, or a breakthrough, likely came because someone else opened a door for them. And if you want doors to open for you, you must spend your life opening doors for others, because generosity builds networks, and networks build futures. Networking multiplies opportunities not because it guarantees outcomes, but because it increases possibilities, expanding the number of paths available to you. And when life is full of paths, you are far more likely to find success than if you walk alone, isolated and unseen. Chapter 10 Adaptability keeps you ready for opportunity because the world is in constant motion, markets shift, technologies evolve, your full attention, relationships change, and circumstances can flip overnight, and those who cling rigidly to the way things were often miss the doors that open in the present, while those who embrace flexibility remain agile enough to pivot and seize new chances. Adaptability does not mean abandoning your values or changing with every wind. It means holding firmly to your principles while adjusting your methods, recognizing that the future belongs not to the strongest or even the smartest, but to those who can adjust quickly to new realities without losing focus. Every opportunity carries with it a measure of uncertainty, and if you are unwilling to adapt, uncertainty will scare you into paralysis. But if you are willing to adapt, uncertainty excites you into action, because you understand that change is not a threat, but an invitation to grow. Many people miss opportunities because they are waiting for things to return to normal, failing to realize that normal has shifted, that opportunities only appear when you step into what is, not what used to be. Adaptability also makes you resourceful, because instead of saying, "I can't because I don't have this," you begin asking, "What can I do with what I have?" And that resourcefulness allows you to move forward when others stall, creating momentum that leads to unexpected openings. Think of every major innovation or breakthrough in history. It came because someone adapted, because someone was willing to see a problem not as an obstacle but as a possibility. And in the same way, when you train yourself to see change as fertile ground, you will find chances others overlook. Adaptability also sharpens resilience, because when life does not go according to plan, and it rarely does, you do not collapse, you adjust, you recalibrate, and you keep moving. And that persistence in the face of shifting circumstances is what allows you to eventually collide with opportunity. Opportunities often hide inside disruptions, when an industry changes, when a system fails, when a method becomes outdated, new gaps are created. And those gaps are invitations for the adaptable to step in with solutions. But if you resist change, you will be swept away with the old. Adaptability also builds trust, because people are drawn to those who remain steady yet flexible, those who can handle surprises without breaking, those who can lead through uncertainty without panicking. And when others trust you to adapt, They are more willing to bring you into opportunities that require creativity and courage. Adaptability demands humility, because to adapt you must first admit that you don't know everything, that your old way may not be the best way, that you can learn something new. This humility itself attracts mentors, collaborators, and guides who open further doors for you. In contrast, rigidity is born of pride. Pride closes doors, because when you refuse to bend, you break, and when you refuse to learn, you are left behind. Adaptability also prepares you for timing, because many opportunities do not arrive when you expect them. They show up earlier than you thought you were ready or later than you hoped. And if you are rigid, you will miss them. But if you are adaptable, you will adjust your pace, adjust your plans, and meet the opportunity where it is. Being adaptable does not mean being reactive alone, also means being proactive, anticipating change, preparing for multiple outcomes, and building a mindset that is comfortable with flexibility so that when the unexpected comes, you are not thrown off balance, but step forward confidently. Adaptability also multiplies creativity, because when you are open to change, you are willing to see from different angles, to experiment, to try unconventional approaches, and this creativity often leads to solutions that attract recognition and reward. Those who thrive in a rapidly changing world are not necessarily the most talented, but the most adaptable. Adaptability ensures you never become obsolete, and as long as you are relevant, opportunities will always find you. Rarely unfolds exactly as you plan, but adaptability ensures that even when the path changes, you still move toward growth. Each adjustment you make builds skills, resilience, and wisdom that equip you for even greater opportunities down the road. Ultimately, adaptability is the art of saying yes to growth in whatever form it comes, of embracing the unexpected as part of your journey, and of remaining flexible enough to step through doors that you did not even know existed until change revealed them. It is this habit of adaptability that keeps you positioned to attract opportunities again and again, no matter how uncertain the world becomes. TR11 Consistency builds momentum, and momentum attracts opportunity, because while talent may open a door and luck may give you a moment, only consistency keeps you moving forward long enough for opportunity to recognize you, trust you, and reward you. And this is why so many people with great potential never see the results they desire. They start strong, burn bright for a short while, then fade when things get difficult, while those who keep showing up, even in small ways, eventually surpass the inconsistent. Consistency is not glamorous, it is built in the quiet hours when no one is watching, in the daily decisions to keep practicing, to keep learning, to keep working, and though it often feels slow, it is in that slow persistence that greatness is built, because success is rarely a sudden event, is the visible result of invisible habits maintained over time. Every opportunity carries with it a test of patience, your full attention, because opportunities rarely appear when you first start. They appear after you have proven through consistent effort that you are ready to handle them. This is where most people quit, not because they lacked ability, but because they lacked persistence. Consistency compounds, just like interest in a bank account. The longer you practice it, the greater the return, and over time, small efforts accumulate into extraordinary results. While inconsistency leaves you starting over again and again, always in the excitement of beginning, but never in the reward of finishing. Consistency also builds trust. People are more likely to open doors for someone who shows up reliably, because reliability signals responsibility, and opportunity is never given to someone who cannot be trusted to maintain it. Think of an athlete who trains every day, even when no one is cheering, versus the one who only shows up when they feel like it. The consistent athlete may not always have the most talent, but they will always be ready when the chance comes, and readiness is the soil in which opportunity grows. Consistency also sharpens your character, because it teaches discipline, resilience, and humility. The discipline to keep going, the resilience to keep pushing through setbacks, and the humility to accept the process rather than chase shortcuts. And these qualities make you not only more capable, but more attractive to those who hold opportunities in their hands. Consistency matters in relationships too, because people trust those who are steady, not those who are unpredictable. If you consistently encourage, support, respect others, your relationships will flourish, and flourishing relationships always multiply into opportunities over time. In business, consistency builds brand and reputation because people trust what they can rely on. And if your work, your service, your character are consistently excellent, your name will carry weight, and opportunities will seek you out rather than you having to chase them. Consistency is also the antidote to procrastination, because when you make effort a daily habit instead of an occasional burst, you no longer rely on motivation alone, you rely on discipline, and discipline always produces results, even when feelings do not cooperate. The danger of inconsistency is that it resets your progress. You build for a while, stop, and then have to start over, which wastes time and energy. When you are consistent, even small steps accumulate, and over time, they create unstoppable force, because momentum is the hidden reward of consistency. Momentum means that what was once hard becomes easier, what was once slow becomes faster, and what was once uncertain becomes natural. And when you carry momentum, opportunities appear because people recognize that you are already moving in the direction of growth. Opportunities are rarely given to those standing still, they are given to those already in motion, and consistency keeps you in motion, day after day, building a story that says, I can be trusted, I am committed, I will not quit. And that story is irresistible to opportunity. The truth is that the world is full of talented quitters, people who could have achieved greatness, but lacked consistency. And history remembers not the ones who started, but the ones who finished, not the ones who had talent, but the ones who used it faithfully until it bore fruit. Consistency also feeds self-confidence, because every day you keep a promise to yourself, you strengthen belief in your own reliability. This belief makes you bold enough to pursue opportunities without hesitation, because you trust yourself to sustain them once they arrive. Ultimately, consistency is the bridge between intention and realization, between desire and achievement, between preparation and opportunity, and those who master it find that doors keep opening, not by accident but by design, because opportunity favors those who prove, day after day, that they will not stop walking until they arrive. Shia Chapter 12. Confidence attracts opportunity because people are drawn to those who believe in themselves, not in an arrogant or boastful way, but in a steady assurance that they are capable, willing, and ready to rise to the occasion. Give them your full attention, and this kind of confidence communicates to the world that you can be trusted with responsibility, that you will not crumble under pressure, that you are prepared to step into bigger roles. Confidence is not about pretending to know everything or never feeling fear. It is about acting despite fear, about trusting your preparation, and about projecting belief even when you are still learning. because often opportunities come not to the most knowledgeable but to the most confident. The one who says, "I may not know everything yet, but I can figure it out." People notice confidence, they sense it in your posture, your tone, your eye contact, and the way you carry yourself, because confidence makes others feel safe and inspired. They are more willing to invite you into spaces that require courage, leadership, or visibility. On the other hand, self-doubt pushes opportunities away, because if you don't believe in yourself, why would anyone else? If your words are filled with hesitation, your body language with uncertainty, and your attitude with apology, people may overlook you even if you have the skill, not because you aren't capable, but because your lack of confidence convinces them otherwise. Confidence creates presence. When you walk into a room believing you belong, others begin to believe it too, and this energy often separates those who are noticed from those who remain invisible. Confidence also empowers risk-taking, because without it, paralyzes you into inaction, but with it, you are willing to step into the unknown, to volunteer, to try. Every risk taken increases the chance of colliding with opportunity. The truth is that confidence is a habit, not just a feeling. It grows with practice, preparation, and repetition, and the more you step forward, the more your belief in yourself strengthens, until confidence becomes natural. Confidence also inspires others. When people see someone who believes in themselves, it gives them permission to believe in themselves too. That inspiration builds loyalty, collaboration, and trust, which always multiply into opportunities. Confidence is magnetic in leadership, because people follow leaders who exude assurance, not those who constantly question themselves or shrink back. And when others follow, opportunities for growth and expansion naturally appear. Yet confidence must be balanced with humility, because arrogance destroys opportunities just as quickly as self-doubt. Confidence says, "I can learn, I can try, I can grow," while arrogance says, "I know everything already," and the latter shuts doors while the former opens them. True confidence is rooted not in perfection but in progress. It is not about being flawless, it is about being willing. And when you live with that kind of confidence, you step into chances others are too afraid to take. Opportunities often require you to present yourself, to pitch, to interview, to speak, perform. And in those moments, skill alone is not enough. It is confidence that convinces others to believe in you, to trust your vision, to give you the platform. Confidence is also resilience, because when things go wrong, you do not collapse under failure, but remind yourself, "I can try again." And this resilience makes you more attractive to opportunity, since people want to invest in those who can handle setbacks. Building confidence requires self-awareness. Knowing your strengths, embracing your weaknesses, committing to growth. And this balance makes you authentic, and authenticity is the foundation of real confidence. Confidence is not about shouting the loudest, it is about standing firm in who you are, and that quiet strength speaks louder than noise. Ultimately, confidence attracts opportunity because it sends a clear message: "I am ready." And life rewards those who are ready, not just those who are talented, because readiness is what turns potential into reality, and confidence is the signal that you are prepared to seize the moment when it comes. CFTR 13 Service attracts opportunity, because when you make yourself valuable to others by meeting their needs, solving their problems, and adding genuine value to their lives, you naturally become someone people remember, recommend, and reward, since the world always makes room for those who consistently serve with excellence. Too often people chase opportunity by asking, "What can I get?" when the real key is to ask, "What can I give?" Because opportunities follow those who create impact, not those who only seek to benefit themselves. Service is the seed from which trust, loyalty, and reputation grow. Your full attention and all three of these are magnets for opportunity, because people want to work with, promote, and invest in those they know are dependable, selfless, committed to something greater than personal gain. The truth is that no matter what industry you are in the people business, and people reward service. They reward those who exceed expectations, who show up with solutions, who go the extra mile without needing to be asked. Leave others better than they found them. Service is not weakness, it is strength. It takes humility to serve, discipline to serve well, and vision to see the long-term payoff of service, because while selfishness may bring short-term gains, it never builds lasting opportunity, but service creates a reputation that opens doors for years to come. Service also positions you for growth, because every time you serve, about people, about challenges, about systems, and those lessons prepare you for greater opportunities that others miss, because they were too focused on themselves to notice the needs around them. Think about the people in history, or in your own life, who have been remembered most fondly. It is rarely those who only took, but almost always those who gave, because service creates legacy, and legacy multiplies opportunities across generations. Service also makes you indispensable. When you consistently serve with excellence, people begin to see you not as optional but essential. When you are essential, you are trusted with bigger responsibilities, larger platforms, and greater influence. Service is also contagious. When others experience your willingness to serve, they are inspired to serve in return, and this creates a culture of mutual support in which opportunities flow freely because everyone is invested in each other's success rather than competing selfishly. The beauty of service is that it often creates opportunities in unexpected places. You may serve quietly in one area, and someone watching from the sidelines may open a door for you in a completely different area, because service demonstrates character. Character attracts favor. Service requires consistency, because serving once out of obligation does not change much. Making service a way of life transforms how people see you, and it shapes your own mindset to look constantly for ways to add value, which means you begin to notice opportunities to grow and give that others overlook. Service also creates relationships, because when you serve people with sincerity, you create bonds of trust and goodwill, and those bonds often become the very bridges across which opportunities travel. A single act of service may earn you a lifelong advocate who mentions your name in rooms you have never entered. Service is not about being a people pleaser or allowing yourself to be used. It is about offering your skills, your energy, and your presence in a way that uplifts others while still respecting your own worth. And when you master this balance, stand out in a world that often puts self above others. Service sharpens humility, because when you serve, you recognize that you are not the center of the universe, that your success is tied to others, and that greatness is measured not just by what you achieve, but by how you help others achieve. Humility itself is another doorway through which opportunities enter. Service also unlocks fulfillment, because while achievement alone can leave you empty, service fills you with a sense of purpose. And that inner joy radiates outward, making you magnetic to those seeking someone they can trust, collaborate with, or invest in. The paradox of service is that by giving, you receive more, not because you demanded it, but because people naturally want to reward and elevate those who elevate others. And this reciprocity creates a cycle of opportunities you could never have orchestrated on your own. Ultimately, service attracts opportunity because it proves your value, your integrity, and your vision, and when you live with a servant mindset, not one of servitude, one of strength and contribution, you position yourself not just to take from life, but to give so much that life has no choice but to give back to you in abundance. Saksata 14. Focus attracts opportunity because in a world filled with distractions, the ability to direct your energy, attention, your full attention, and time toward a clear objective makes you stand out as rare and reliable, since opportunities are always searching for people who can follow through, finish what they start, and deliver results with precision. Focus is the art of saying no to the countless things that do not matter so you can say yes to the few things that do, and this clarity transforms scattered effort into meaningful progress, because when your attention is divided, your impact is diluted. When your attention is concentrated, your impact is multiplied. The truth is that opportunity does not just come to those who are talented, it comes to those who are focused enough to consistently develop and apply their talent, because without focus, talent is wasted in half-finished projects and unkept promises. Focus demonstrates discipline, because it shows that you are not easily swayed by distractions, temptations, or the opinions of others, and people are drawn to those who can and remain steady on the path they have chosen even when everything around them is pulling in a different direction. When you focus deeply on a skill, a craft, or a mission, you begin to attract opportunities that align with that focus, because the world notices mastery, and mastery cannot be achieved without unwavering attention. Focus also creates trust, because when people see that you are reliable, that you complete your tasks, that you do not get lost in business, they are more likely to hand you greater responsibilities and invite you into bigger opportunities, knowing you can be counted on. Lack of focus, on the other hand, pushes opportunity away, because if you are constantly scattered, distracted, and inconsistent, people hesitate to invest in you, no matter how much potential you have, since potential without focus rarely produces results. Focus requires prioritization. Prioritization is leadership. When you decide what matters most and direct your life toward it, you take control of your destiny instead of being controlled by the noise of the world. Focus also multiplies time, because when you concentrate your energy on one thing at a time, instead of dividing it across many, you accomplish more in less time, and efficiency itself attracts opportunity, since organizations, leaders, and collaborators are always looking for those who can get things done effectively. The digital age, focus is even more powerful, because while most people are addicted to distraction, scrolling endlessly, and chasing every new thing, the one who can shut out the noise, concentrate on the mission, and persist day after day will rise above the crowd simply by being consistent. Focus builds momentum, and momentum creates visibility, because when you pour yourself into a single direction, you begin to produce results that compound over time. Those results are the very proof that attract opportunities that would never come to someone whose energy is scattered. Focus also sharpens creativity, because when you give sustained attention to one area, your mind goes deeper, finding new connections and ideas that a distracted mind would miss. Creativity born out of focus often leads to innovations that draw attention and open doors. Focus strengthens resilience, because when challenges arise, a focused person does not abandon their path easily. Instead, they adjust, persevere, and continue. and that persistence signals to others that you are worthy of opportunity, since opportunities prefer those who will not collapse under the first sign of difficulty. Focus is not about being rigid, it is about being clear. Clear about your vision, your priorities, and your boundaries. And clarity itself acts like a beacon, signaling to the right opportunities that you are ready and capable of receiving them. Focus also gives you peace of mind, because instead of being pulled in 100 directions, you know where you are headed, and this inner calm makes you stronger, more confident, more attractive to others who value stability in a chaotic world. When you live with focus, you train yourself to ignore what is urgent but unimportant, and to devote yourself to what is important, even if it does not feel urgent. That shift alone can change the trajectory of your life. Opportunities come most to those who invest in the long term rather than chasing short-term thrills. Ultimately, focus attracts opportunity because it proves you are serious, committed, and worthy of trust. And in a distracted world, seriousness is magnetic, commitment is rare, and trustworthiness is priceless. Therefore, the one who chooses focus chooses growth, chooses mastery, chooses to live in a way that opportunities cannot ignore. CHTR 15 Growth is the ultimate reward for taking responsibility, breaking the blame cycle, and cultivating habits that attract opportunity, because life does not change when you point fingers outward. It changes when you turn inward and decide that every situation, no matter how painful or challenging, is a chance to learn, to evolve, and to become more. When you embrace growth, you stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and instead begin asking, "What is this teaching me?" And that shift alone transforms obstacles into stepping stones, critics into teachers, and failures into fuel. Growth is not glamorous, because it requires discomfort, sacrifice, and the willingness to face hard truths about yourself. But it is through this discomfort that real transformation occurs, and opportunities are drawn to those who consistently rise above their former selves. Growth means you do not stay stuck in yesterday's mistakes, but you carry their lessons forward, turning wounds into wisdom. People are naturally drawn to someone who embodies progress, because progress inspires hope. Growth is a daily choice, not a one-time event. Every day you decide to own your actions, refine your habits, and stretch beyond your comfort zone. Increase your capacity to attract and handle bigger opportunities. Opportunities without growth are dangerous, because if you rise faster than your character, your talent may open doors your maturity cannot keep open. But when you prioritize growth, you ensure that when opportunity arrives, you are ready to sustain it. Growth requires humility, because you must accept that you do not know it all. It requires courage, because you must step into areas where you feel unqualified, but humility and courage together form the soil in which growth flourishes, and those qualities themselves draw respect and favor. Growth also demands consistency, because you cannot grow if you quit every time it gets hard. The person who keeps showing up, even in small ways, will outpace the one who relies only on bursts of inspiration, and opportunities tend to find the consistent more than the inconsistent. Growth is holistic. It is not only about professional success, but also emotional maturity, relational depth, spiritual grounding, and physical discipline, because true opportunity looks for wholeness, not just fragments. Person who grows in all areas of life becomes magnetic to opportunities that align with that balance. Growth also expands vision, because as you grow, you begin to see possibilities you once overlooked, and this expanded perspective itself is an opportunity. since many people remain blind to doors that growth makes visible. Growth requires resilience, because it will test you through failure, rejection, and delay. But resilience teaches you to rise again, to keep moving, to trust the process. And resilience is one of the strongest signals to the world that you are prepared for more. Growth means leaving behind the identity of a victim, because as long as you blame others for where you are, you stay stuck. But when you take ownership, you become empowered, and empowerment is the birthplace of both growth and opportunity. Growth sharpens your character, and character is the foundation of lasting success, because while skills can open doors, only character keeps them open, and every opportunity that truly matters requires someone of integrity, discipline, vision. Growth also creates influence, because people naturally follow those who are advancing, and influence itself multiplies opportunities. Others invite you into spaces where your growth can inspire and uplift. Growth is contagious, because when others see you breaking limits, pushing yourself, and refusing to settle, it sparks belief in them that they can do the same. This inspiration creates networks of people who open doors for one another, multiplying opportunities beyond what you could have created alone. Growth is ultimately about becoming, not about arriving at perfection, but about continuously becoming the best version of yourself. When you live in this rhythm of becoming, opportunities are drawn to you because you are always in motion, always stretching, always evolving. Growth is a lifetime journey. It does not stop with one success, one promotion, or one opportunity seized, but it continues as long as you breathe. The more you grow, the more you realize that the true opportunity is not the external reward, but the internal transformation that makes you capable of handling life's greatest blessings and responsibilities. In the end, growth is both the path and the destination, the struggle and the reward, the test and the triumph. And when you choose growth over blame, comfort, and over fear, you become the kind of person who no longer waits for opportunity, but creates it, attracts it, and multiplies it, proving that the greatest opportunity of all is the chance to grow into who you were always meant to be.